Hello there, it's Ron the Accidental Farmer. How much did the well cost? I've had a few people ask me. I had messages via YouTube and also Facebook as we shared it there. Is how much did this well end up costing? Well, I'll tell you, it was a surprise. Now that the well is all ready to be hooked into the town, I can go over all the numbers, including what the plumber has quoted us so far. And it was a surprise. And the reason I'm doing this is I've had a lot of requests. Plus, if you've ever decided to put a well in, I had someone thought it was going to be about $5,000 to $10,000 to put a well in their yard. Times have changed, people. Times have changed. So I'm going to go over some of the quotes I received and what it actually cost. So I contacted a company. I contacted a few companies. Some people got back to me, and some people just gave me ballpark figures via email. I didn't choose them. I chose someone who was very reputable and who was very local, and they were great to work with. But they give you ranges because you're digging a well and nobody knows how deep the water is. So we went with, it was a 300-foot quote. It was between $7,000 and $9,000. That was to drill the well and put the capping around it. So that was that piping they put all the way down in the well, in the hole. So we went on, if you watch some of the other videos, we went down. He figured it'd be less than 300 feet. We went down 300 feet. We had absolutely zero water. We kept going. We went to 420, no water. We ended up going to 600 feet. That's when we said, make it or break it. We're going to take the loss if we didn't have any water. Well, we had 1 gallon a minute. Wasn't enough to even water the lawn. It was worse pressure than the bad pressure we have now. So what happened is we brought a fracking truck in, and a fracking truck came and they put high pressure water in different sections of the drilled hole, and they blast out and clean out all the fissures, the cracks in the hole, and hopefully we get a water flow back, which we did. We got 13.5 gallons of water a minute, which is phenomenal. We should never ever run out of water. In fact, we had it running for about 2 days and we never had a loss of pressure. That was just to clean out the hole and stuff like that. So we had the water test that included water test and on and on. So that $7,000 and $9,000 quote came back to a full charge, including the fracking truck, of $18,400. That was a little surprise because that's what we thought the whole shebang should have been. Soup to nuts would have been $18,000. The piping and the pump. So then we got to get the piping from the well head to the house. And the further you put the well away from the house, it's more piping, more digging. Ours wasn't that bad considering where we were going to put it. So they came in and they said it's going to be about $8,000 to do everything. Well, we have a 300-year-old house, and it took a little more. The digging was okay, but getting it through the foundation was a little tricky, and that ended up being $10,300. So now we have this pump system in the house, and we have the water out in the well. Now we got to get an electrician. We need 220 volts over to the switch to electrify this pump system. And this pump doesn't have all kinds of fancy filters on it. We didn't need that. We're very, very fortunate. At this time, the water is very potable. And from there, so the electrician came in. I had him do one other thing, so I'm going to split the bill in half and say, to hook up, we had a mini split put in, and he wired up the mini split and had to take care of that, and then he put a 220. But he also had to put a sub panel in for the 220. We didn't have any more room. That turned out to be $1,250. The whole bill was $2,500. We're going to say $1,250 was for the pump. So right there, we didn't have a quote for that, but it was a guy I've worked with many times, so he just did the work and gave me a bill, which was fine. And now we need a plumber. And at the end of this, I'm going to give you a bunch of asterisks because there was extra expenses all over the place and extra things, not expenses, extra things we had to do. The plumber is $2,000. And so that's including disconnecting the water from the town, repiping everything, and getting our well going, as well as piping an outside spigot that we had put in, one of the no freeze spigots out near the chicken coop, and which is about 120 feet away. So that had to be a pipe under the ground 5 feet. So total, what we thought it was going to be is because we didn't figure in the electrician and the plumber. I didn't ask. I just figured that was part of it. We thought we were going to spend about $15,000 to $17,000. The total bill was $33,200. I rounded all those numbers up 1 or 2 or 5 or 10, but it was $33,200 for a 600-foot well. Now, if we didn't need it fracked, and if we only went to 300, that would have been about a 9,500 instead of an 18,400. So that's a $10,000 difference. We'd still be at about 23 and some change, $24,000 for the whole well. It will recoup itself. But a couple of the things that wasn't included that I have to do, or I had to do, is we had a section of digging near the house, which we couldn't get any machinery in. I've showed it on videos. It's 16 feet long. I had to go 5 feet deep, and then I had to go 3 feet wide so people could go inside it to pipe through the well, or pipe through the foundation. We have a big old granite foundation. But I had to hand dig that. If I let them dig it, it was going to be probably another $1,500 to $2,000 cost because of the labor involved. So I did that over a few days. I was able to bring a bucket truck in, but I had to hand dig the entire thing. And now, because when they were digging, they found an old well in the ground, they used the sand that I had taken and fill from that hole, and they filled in the well at it. So I still had to buy extra sand and fill for that 16-foot long trench I bit, which was a couple hundred, $250 actually, and that's coming this week. That still has to be filled in. But anyways, so then what other? The town we're coordinating the hooking up the piping. The town wanted me to have a company come and dig it up at the street and cap it. But we can't because I have an in-law. The piping is shared until it gets to the house. So I have to dig a hole that is 5 feet deep, big enough for a person to go in and work on the piping to disconnect the main house and leave the T that goes off onto my in-laws. So that is a charge that was built into the $2,000 plumbing, but I now have to dig a hole. I'm guessing it's 4 by 4 by 5 feet deep. So that's all on me. And right now it is 2 days before Christmas, and it's 9 degrees outside, and the ground is freezing solid. So I don't know if that's even going to be done this year. It's probably not. It's probably not going to be running for the house water until next year. What else wasn't included? My entire yard is a disaster. My whole backyard where the well was, when they drill this well, everything that comes up out of the ground is into a pile. All the stone dust from the drilling through the stone and the granite and all that other dirt they think. So I have a 600-foot hole that's about a foot round going down. So everything that came out of that was laid down onto my lawn. And that was it. There's really no other way. They also have to dig trenches in the lawn so the water has some place to go for a while. The entire lawn is in the backyard is just one big disaster. I did smooth it out and such, but it's a disaster. And then my other backyard where the piping went in, which we had beautiful grass for the first time that I think it's probably ever had decent grass, is shot. It's gone. It's all has to be all redone, all re-smoothed out for next year because it happened so late in the year. What else? And then that one spigot I put in so far, the one at the chicken coop, the 100+ feet, it was a 5-foot trench that I had to take care of. None of that was included. The only thing that was included was the piping. They did run me a line from the house to the current spigot that's out there, and then they just left the roll right there, and I continued digging down and brought it all the way over to the chicken coop, and then supplied myself with a no-freeze spigot. So never mind all that other stuff. So if you're thinking of putting a well in, the cost is $20,000 to start. That's what I would say. $20,000 if it's easy. And it doesn't matter if you have a pond on your property. That is surface water. This is what I've learned. And what we're going for is groundwater. We have wet fields. The old sheep field I've mentioned in some of the videos I have is wet. It doesn't matter. We're 600 feet down. So we dug down the equivalent of 2 football fields standing on each other. So pretty deep, pretty far. So if you ever wanted to know what it costs to put a well in, that's what I'm in for. I don't think water is ever going to be cheaper. It's always going to go up. You hear towns increasing prices because it's just the cost of doing business. It's one of those things that we don't have a lot of. So I guess I really feel that it was a good investment. It'll take care of it over time for my generation and future generations, the next caretakers of this beautiful property. So $33,200 plus a lot of labor on my part. That's what it costs to put a well in. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.